so much, everyone, for staying with us. Our attention will be on the northwestern region of the country in respect of the protest that's engulfed the streets of Nigeria for the last day. Now, it's the day 2 of the protest, which we've tagged the August protest. End Bad Governance hashtag is what the promoters of the protest, a movement that started online that has become a force on the 1st of August. In Kaduna State, we understand that police authorities have arrested about 25 persons. In fact, there were very strong efforts in disallowing some of those persons to enter into the Kaduna State government house. Now, the government of the Kaduna State are denied of imposing curfew in the state. Let's turn our attention now to the Executive Governor of Kaduna State, Senator Sani, who joins us live from Kaduna State. Thank you so much, Governor, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for the patience. I appreciate it. You had come out to say there is no curfew in Kaduna State and everything is under control. There are those who will say things escalated so quickly. How do you describe the last day and how it has been for you and your government?
Thank you very much, Shaun. In Kaduna, I can say that since yesterday, everything has been calmed. Everything is in control. We did not experience any protests today in Kaduna. Protests ended yesterday at about 3 p.m. So in Kaduna, we're fine. That was the reason why we did not impose any curfew in Kaduna. That was what actually happened. Because the protest started peacefully in Kaduna at about 10 to 11 a.m. in the morning, but somewhere along the line, some miscreants hijacked the rally. And of course, as a result of that, few individuals amongst the miscreants decided to attack some government offices, about 2 government offices, as well as looted the shop or maybe the house of one very innocent woman. So for us, that was what happened in Kaduna. But before 4 o'clock, at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, everything was addressed and the protesters went back home. Of course, but what we noticed in Kaduna is that there was a lot of infiltration by some disgruntled elements. That was the reason why we called about last week that in Kaduna, we are not against anyone coming out to protest, because myself being also member of civil rights movement and pro-democracy movement in Nigeria in the past, I participated in many protests in this country, but I led the protest myself. So, but in this case, we realized that some elements within the country, some in Kaduna probably use these gullible children, because in Kaduna, most of the people that came out, young children, they are between the ages of 15, 16, and 17. So for me, I felt it was really unfortunate. And of course, when I saw some human rights activists speaking with you just now in your studio, I was really surprised, because if you are a human rights activist and you are actually calling for the protest, just like we did ourselves in the past, we led it. We don't sit down in the comfort of an air condition in the studio asking people to go out for protest. You should lead it. We led it, and as a result of that, some of us went to detention a few times in this country. That was against the military. And today, we're in a democratic dispensation. I feel if people want to protest, they should come out, direct and lead the protest, so that they don't leave the protest in the hands of young children that they recruited, and they put them on the street and they hide in the studios of national televisions and talking. So for me, that is my only problem. In Kaduna, we made it clear that whoever want to protest can come out. We ask the police to guide them, to ensure that they give them security. But unfortunately, just 30 minutes into the protest, some disgruntled elements, probably that were recruited also by some elements, hijacked the entire protest. and attacked even the police. But of course, we intervened and asked the police not to respond. And I want to commend the police here in Kaduna State. I've had a lot of people condemning the police around the country, but in Kaduna, they acted professionally. They decided to ignore even those that were attacking them. And of course, at a certain point, they only use tear gas because that is the normal convention, to use tear gas whenever there is breaking of law and order. When people begin to attack or to break shops and offices, certainly they have to intervene at that moment. So in Kaduna, I can say things went extremely well, apart from the fact that some miscreants hijacked the protest. But at 3 o'clock, like I said, everything went normal. And that was the reason why here in Kaduna, we do not impose any curfew. And today, as I'm speaking with you, people went out and continued with their normal activities and their businesses. And that was the reason why I was really surprised when some people that were calling for this protest many, many weeks, they were not organized. They led the protest in the hands of children, people that they recruited, but they did not guide them. That was a problem. But like in Kaduna and many other states around northern Nigeria, I'm sure the reason why we witness a lot of lootings and vandalization in Kano and other states around the north is simply because they let those people they recruited to go out and begin to loot some people's shops. It's unfortunate because when you are calling for government to do what is right, to address the problem of hunger and many other things, why do we attack the shops of people who are also struggling, the middle class, the downtrodden, doing their businesses? But at the end of the day, they are the victims. So for me, that is not the protest we are talking about. When they came to us, we said, you can do it.
Dr. Sani, if I may jump in quickly, we understand that Kasilia and Kadipa, these are two agencies of Kaduna State government, which we understand are being raised. Apart from these two agencies, what can you tell us? What are the other incidents that have happened beyond this?
Well, in Kaduna, like I said, we did not experience any major problem because, of course, only Castelia and Kadipa that were attacked and looted. They were all government agencies. So for me, that was the only incident that happened in Kaduna. But of course, we were lucky because they did not go to the shops of some innocent people like in other states and begin to loot their properties. But of course, even though we're here in Kaduna, we will not be happy to see things that happen in Kano or what happened in Jigawa, what happened in Maiduguri, Borno State, what happened in Niger. It's unfortunate. That was the reason why some of us were a bit skeptical about the motives and the intention of the people calling for this protest. Most of them, I can tell you, that were in the television granting interview with you. Why didn't you ask them? Why didn't they lead the protest? Where were they? That is a question journalists should ask. When we call for protest against the military in Nigeria, we led the protest. In Kaduna here, I led several protests in Kaduna. I led it during our era, during the era of military, when we are working closely together with our leader, Chief Guyano Fahimi, Kuti, Femi Falana, all of us. Even I had that Ebun Olu Adegora telling them to calm down, because I can say that Ebun Olu Adegora was with us. We went to the street with him against the military. I could remember vividly. So he was with us. He knew the meaning of protest. He knew that what is happening today in this country is at the detriment of the downtrodden, not even the government, because these protesters are looting the shops of people that are innocent, people that are also struggling, people that are affected by this economic hardship. So that is the reason why I think those calling for this protest should sit down and look at the situation critically. When they are saying President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should come out and speak, granted, we have problems in Nigeria, but most of these problems, we want to be sincere, were inherited by this previous administration. That was what I was saying. Maybe most of them do not have the data and statistics of where we are coming from. If you look at the poverty index in this country, look at where we were 2023. Look at the problems we are having as just far back as 2023. So look at where President Aswaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu took over this government, at that point, look at where the problem was. And within a year and only 1 month, if you want to be sincere, nobody will address these problems within only 13 months. So let's be fair. That is the reason why a lot of people were suspecting the motives and sinister.
So, Governor Sani, if I may ask, are you saying that the protest is not justified?
Let me be very frank with you. Most of us that even were asking people to give this protest an opportunity to now speak to the government, to now at least explain their own grievances, so that at least people will hear them. But unfortunately, if you ask me, if you want me to be sincere, my opinion will be different from most of the people that are sitting with you in the studio, because I am a veteran of protests in Nigeria. I was in SSS cell, I was in police cell, I was in detention several times because I led demonstrations in Kaduna. In those days, I led over 5,000 people to the street of Kaduna. Many times, not only 100, 500, 200, 5,000 people I led them to the street of Kaduna. And of course, I was ready to be detained. I was ready to face the authority because it's a matter of ideology. I believe in good governance. We believe in democracy. That's why we fought for the term of democracy in Nigeria. But what happened in the last 2 days, I must be frank with you, the leaders or the agitators of this protest should have led it so that they can control these gullible Nigerians who went to the street, started looting and destroying government properties. When we fought the military, I remember in 1992 when I led protests against double government, it was Babangeda's government. But the governor then was a civilian governor, 1992. I led demonstration in Kaduna. Over 5,000 people followed me, but there was never an incident of breaking of anything. We didn't touch government properties. We didn't allow anybody to loot any shop. That was protest. And the government listened to us. But when you lead children, you stay in your hotel room or outside the country or in the comfort of studios, Channels Television, Arise Television, TVC, talking about protests. What do you know about protests, really? You should be on the street. If you really believe in what I said, protest is not about speaking grammar.
No,
in the studio, please.
Yeah, your explanation, does it mean that you are saying that there are no organization, or are you suspecting that the protest was against the Tinubu government and that there are suspicions of some people working for the removal of Tinubu government? From your explanation, is that what you are saying?
Let me be blunt with you. As far as I'm concerned, because of what happened, I can see that some people mobilize some very gullible Nigerians. Most of them are children. Most of them are not educated, to go to the street to now go against the government. They are trying to now, it's a matter of political revenge. Okay, let me use this word, because most of them lost election. Most of them never wanted Asoji to be president. But in my own opinion, some of us have been veteran in this struggle. Wait, you can change the government through the ballot. You can mobilize people. It's a matter of 2027. But you don't go to mobilize gullible Nigerians, misinform them, misguide them, and their children are not on the street. So for me,
Governor Sani, that they've raised, issue of hunger, issue of hardship, issue of economic situation in the country, and the downturn that Nigerians are expressing. Are you saying that those are not tenable and those are not valid?
It's valid. In this country, I have no doubt in my mind, there is hardship. A lot of policies of the government are painful. But I believe it's a matter of time. You need to give the government time to address it. But if you have any grievances, constitutionally, you can come out. Like I said, I'm not against protests. I even supported people that wanted to do the protest by telling the police in Kaduna, escort them, give them security, make sure that you protect them. That's why in Kaduna we don't have any counter protests. A lot of people came to me who are also pro-Tinubu in Kaduna. They want to go to the street. I said, no, we don't do that in Kaduna.
But Governor Sani, why didn't, I mean, I'm imagining that you are one of the most experienced governors out of the 36 state governors that have been part of a protest. I imagine that you would have gone to address them or speak to them. Is there a reason why you decided not to?
Okay, let me be frank with you. They were escorted to the government house. I was ready and prepared to address them. But when they are coming, like I said, some groups came out, hijacked the protest. Before coming to the government house, they met the office of Castelia and Kadipa. Even though Castelia and Kadipa's offices in Kaduna, they are just about 300 to 400 meters away from the government house. On the way, those miscreants broke those offices, vandalized those offices. At that point, I said, no, these are not protesters. These are miscreants sponsored by some political elements to go against the government. Because if they have come peacefully, of course, as someone who believes in protest, I will certainly address them. But on their way, they broke offices, vandalized offices, looted offices. How do I address people like that? What do I tell them? And I ask the police, who is their leader? I ask the police, who is their leader?
Governor Sani,
there was no leader.
You stated some things tonight, and you've brought a political perspective into the reasons for this protest. And I'm imagining, and I will list a few states here: Jigawa, Borno, Nasarawa, Katsina, Kano. These are a few of the states where curfew has been declared in one way or the other, either in whole or in part of the state. And if you look at all of these states, none of these states are in the southern region of the country. They are all in the northern region of the country. And for a student of history like myself, there hasn't been in the last 20 years or so much of protest in the northern part of the country, so much that it will escalate badly to have turned into shutting down a state in the northern region of the country. In fact, most of the protest activity that we see are mostly coordinated from the southern region of the country. These are facts, but I'm not trying to put a theory to it. But since you have put up a narrative, is this fact relevant to what you have said tonight, where we find nothing less than 5 states of the northern region of the country under curfew as a result of the escalation of this protest? Makes sense for it. Makes sense of it for us.
I will answer you in 2 perspectives. Number 1, I will start with northern Nigeria, where I come from. The reason why I will insist that this protest is being perpetuated, sponsored by some elements that want to achieve political revenge against the president and some governors. I have my reason. Let me be very frank with you. They did not succeed in the southeast. They did not succeed in some states, even in the south. But I will tell you why they succeeded in the north. Because when you look at the developmental indices, as we are speaking, facing northern Nigeria, in the north, 70% of our people, as we are speaking, are completely financially excluded. Number of out-of-school children in the whole Nigeria, 18.3% are domiciled in northern Nigeria. Number 3, if you look at the level of poverty index we have in this country, 65% of our people in northern Nigeria are below the poverty line. Now, it was very easy for them to misinform, to misguide, to recruit most of the gullible people. That is why when you see states like Kano, Jigawa, Niger, Katsina, those children that were on the street, they burned most of the offices of government, looted most of the shops that belong to even the middle class and the poor people. That is the reason why I believe there was a level of recruitment. That is one perspective. The second perspective, if you listen to me carefully, is that, look, yes, I agree. These elements I'm talking about, they may not be from northern Nigeria alone. They are from all part of Nigeria. But they succeeded in northern Nigeria because of this problem. And why am I angry? Let me be very frank with you. The north that we belong to, including myself, why do we have these very disturbing developmental indices? We had power in the north for more years than any other part of Nigeria. Aswaji Bola Tinubu is not responsible for the problem we are facing in the north, including insecurity we are facing. Let me also give you these statistics. As far back as 2016, there was nothing called kidnappings, insurgency, and banditry in the northwest part of Nigeria. The northwest, Kaduna, Kano, Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, Jigawa, Katsina. We did not know anything called banditry, kidnappings, as far back as only 2016. That is 8 years from today. Why are we in this situation? And today, most of those elements that took advantage of this problem and instigated the children of the poor, their children were not on the street. They took advantage. That is why this crisis was more serious in northern Nigeria. And that is the reason why there were a lot of lootings, breaking of offices, a lot of recklessness in the north. And my point here tonight is that if we want to be sincere to ourselves, how do you blame Bola Ahmed Tinubu for these figures and these statistics and this data? In my own opinion, every leader in northern Nigeria, whether you are a governor in the last 15 years, senator in the last 15 years, House of member in the last 15 years, minister, governor, vice president, president, even local government chairman, we should be held accountable to this problem. And instead of us to sit down and begin to blame Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we should sit down and look at ourselves in the mirror and address this problem. But when we continue to be in denial, continue to attack the president or misinforming the gullible people in northern Nigeria because they are not educated, most of them. That was the reason why when I came into Kaduna as a governor, when I was elected, when I signed the executive order, that we need to make sure that we bring back at least 2.5 million vulnerable, underserved, and poor people to financial services sector. Because I came to Kaduna with the statistics. As a senator in the 9th Senate, covering about 90% of the financial service sector in Nigeria, because I was the chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Financial Institutions in Nigeria. So by that, I covered 90% of the financial service sectors in this country. And I know the data and statistics. That was the reason why I was calling on our leaders in the north. That is unacceptable for us to have 70% of our adult age remain financially excluded. In Kaduna, in the last four months, we have been able to bring 2.5 million, and we're targeting another 1 million. Most of our people were unbanked. How can they benefit from any social intervention by the government?
Governor Sani, let me jump in quickly. I mean, the question is that you have raised this narrative, but I'm wondering how plausible is what you have explained, because if there is a president that has been elected and confirmed by the court for the next 4 years, how would anybody be able to remove him from office? It takes away the fact that there are people who are legitimate on the street and asking, based on their agitation, asking of the government to do what the government is meant to do for the people of this country. How do you respond to the agitations and the charter of demands of these protesters, Governor Sani?
Thank you very much, Shehu. Like I said, if you listen to me carefully, among these protesters, there are people that certainly came out genuinely. When we led protests in Nigeria, we just announced there will be protests against social policy of the government. People on their own came out. When I said I led 5,000 in 1992, it's not like I had contact with all the 5,000. But they came out because they know we have good intention. We spell out our demands. We made it clear. We educated our people. This is what we're asking for. In this situation, I can agree with you. There are some legitimate demands. And there are people who came out with genuine intention. But again, the people I'm calling out that they took this opportunity of the situation we're facing in this country to infiltrate it or to now recruit other people to try to see if they can now come up with something that can bring the reputation, the integrity of this government. That is a problem.
How do they hope to remove this government if you think that the plan is to remove this government? How?
No,
How would they do it?
I didn't say removing government, but because I'm a veteran of this struggle, you don't have to protest to remove a government. But you can call for, you can work toward an anarchy in a country. What they did today in Jigawa, there's a curfew. Today in Borno, there's a curfew. Today in Katsina, there's a curfew. Today in the Nasarawa, there are some part of Nasarawa, including some part of Niger. What are we talking about? No any business activities going on in those states. There are people that have to go out on a daily basis to do businesses to be able to earn their next meal. Today they cannot go to open their markets. They cannot do anything. What do you put these people? And those agitators, as I'm speaking with you, they're in their houses in air condition because they're comfortable. So there's nothing wrong in protest, but don't put innocent people into more hardship.
What would you say, Governor, is a lesson? What would you say is a lesson out of this protest? For those of you in the political class and those of you who are at the end of affairs, the people are asking that you need to watch the manner in which the people of this country are being served. The issue, the hardship, the poor, the vulnerable in this country. What lesson do you think that this protest has portended for the ruling class in this country and the government of the day?
Yeah, I think the lesson is for everyone, not only the government. The lesson is also for the poor people there and the masses to be careful. Now, I want to make some calls for three set of groups. Those gullible children who are on the street that were used by these people to come out. Next time they call for protest, please, they should ask them to lead the protest. That's number one. Next time they ask for protest, they should ask them to bring their children on the street. They all have children that are matured and they are adults. That's number two. That's what we did when we were doing protests. We came out. That's the first message I have. The second message I have is, as government, I have no doubt in my mind, we inherited a very broken.
It seems that we're having some connection problem with Governor. Please, you can continue.
Yeah, so as a government, we inherited a very bad economy, which was accepted, agreed by everyone in Nigeria, whether you're in the opposition or you're in the ruling party. That is the consensus. We all agree with that because we're in this country. Now, I believe we must work up and quickly address most of those problems, particularly things that have to do with reduction of poverty, creating jobs in this country. Yes, people are talking about palliatives. Even me, I am not an advocate of palliatives. I don't believe people should be given palliatives. I believe concrete policies should be designed that could quickly change the fortunes of Nigerians. We have to look at the economy critically, come up with some measures that could quickly now address most of this problem. Farmers in this country, I believe, like in Kaduna, agriculture contributes about 42.8% of our GDP. The same thing with many other states in Nigeria. I believe the president have done a lot in trying to address the issue of agriculture, but I believe a lot has to be done. Our economy needs to be looked into because if you look at it, look at the cost of fund in Nigeria. If you want to do any business, you want to borrow money. As of today, 30% interest rate. I don't think anybody can do business and succeed or survive in this country because it's also something that is very, very difficult. So there are many things that we need to adjust. It's the cost of funds. You go to bank, you want to borrow money. The interest rate is too much. Someone can borrow money from another country, come to your country, establish an industry, and he can put you out of business. because you must have borrowed the money cheaper than what you're borrowing in Nigeria. So there are a lot of measures that need to be looked into. Is it economy? Is it agriculture? You know, many things. Is it trying to also create jobs? So many things has to be done. I agree with that. And we don't have time.
All right.
Time is on our side.
Governor Sani, quickly, so that we can wrap up. Look at some of the low-hanging fruit on the charter of demand of these protesters. One of it includes that there should be a reversal of fuel subsidy. And I'm also asking that there should be a reduction in the size of the government's cabinet. Are these possible to be done immediately? How would you react to those demands by the protesters?
Yeah, I think as far as I'm concerned, you see, because we are trying to be very blunt here, when you talk about reducing cost of government is very, very important because we are facing a lot of problems. For instance, let me give you an example of Kaduna. Since I came in as a governor, in the last 13 months, we've not bought a single vehicle for any commissioner, no vehicle for any advisor, not even myself or the deputy governor, because we know the situation we inherited. So we do not do that. We reduce the salary of even our commissioners. Myself, I'm taking 50% of my salary, including allowance, everything put together. Deputy governor is taking 50%. Our commissioners have decided to sacrifice their performance bonus that I inherited. When I came as a governor, I told them we cannot do that. They all agree. So in Kaduna, we have reduced the cost of governance. That is why we can do certain things. And how many commissioners we have? 16 commissioners. Only last week, we decided to also remove 3 major different agencies because we realized that when I came in, there are 3 major administrators in Kaduna. That's Kapanchan administrator, Kaduna, and Zaria. And I realized that all those creations, when we put together, we have hundreds of staff there. We're spending a lot of money. So myself and the State Assembly decided to now strike them out to the State Assembly. Why did we do that? We don't need 16 commissioners. We need only 13 commissioners so that we can reduce the cost of governance. We did that only last week in Kaduna. So for me, yes, reducing cost of governance is key because of the situation we have found ourselves in Nigeria today. When things get better, we can adjust, which is acceptable.
What about the fuel subsidy? They're asking for the reversal of the policy on removal of fuel subsidy.
Let me be very blunt with you. I think the issue of fuel subsidy is something that is technical. If you look at it, have you asked yourself, most of those countries that borders Nigeria, is it Niger, is it Cameroon, is it all those countries that borders Nigeria, if you go and ask, most of them are using Nigeria because of the smuggling. So if you see what is happening as I'm speaking with you, no country in West Africa that is not benefiting from what is happening in Nigeria in terms of the low price of our fuel. So I'm not saying there shouldn't be removal of fuel subsidy, but I'm saying there should be conversation. What I think should be done, the management of the NNPC Limited should hold a town hall meeting, bring the stakeholders together and the people of Nigeria together and explain to them, this is where we are. What is your own input? What's your contribution? Now, when I came as a governor, I called a town hall meeting because there are some decisions I was trying to take that were very painful. And I told them, this is why we're taking these decisions at the town hall meeting. Surprisingly, the stakeholders were the ones that said, go and do it, because we are now keen into the program. We support you because it is in the best interest. But I think there's a lack of communication. That, for me, is very important. It's either but you don't blame the president, because the president has done his job by appointing ministers and key government officials. It is their responsibility to reach out to the public, to explain every government policy. They must come out and try as much as possible to share those positives with them and get the inputs of the people into every policy of the government. And people must buy any policy and they will defend it. They will support it.
Governor Sani,
no matter how good a policy is.
we need to go. But confirm to us, the arrest, police are said to have arrested about 25 persons. And there are talks that members of the IMN are part of those arrested. Can you confirm that to us?
Yeah, I can confirm to you that the police realized that most of those people that came out and attacked the police, they were arrested, like I told you, because they broke into the shops. And when they were taken to the police station in Kaduna, they interrogated most of them. And because they found live ammunitions, and some of them even were caught with guns in Kaduna at the rally. So they, when they took them, they said, look, where are you having live ammunition and all those? They said, look, when they investigated them, they did a lot of interrogation. The report I had yesterday from the police and the DSS is that most of them are members of the IMF. So for me, it's unfortunate. That was the reason why when people are calling for protests, they should come out and lead it so that they make sure that people do not infiltrate. Because if you call for protests, please come out. I am an advocate of protests. I will continue to support protests in Nigeria because I was participating in that. But please, my last message to people who want to call for protests in Nigeria, I want to urge them. Please lead the protests. Even in this current democratic dispensation, when there was a Labour protest in Kaduna, if you ask them, I participated there in this current dispensation because for me there's nothing wrong with protest. But please, it should be done in a proper way where those calling for the protest, they should lead it. They don't sit down and say they are big men. There's no big men in agitation. Come out.
All right.
Are you afraid to go to police and just talk? There's nothing wrong to be afraid. We did it during the military. We visited the SSS to tell them we're doing protests. We visited the police. That was the issue.
Governor Sani, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. I appreciate it. Executive Governor of Kaduna State, Senator Uba Sani. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you, Ben.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for having me.